Hello, welcome to episode 14 of Friends from Film School. I'm Luke Pilgrim.
I'm Brad Kennedy.
And I'm Ellis Treese.
Okay, guys, check your messages. Just sent you a video. You guys can watch it. All right, this is so funny, but in Louisiana, when they were doing a siren, they accidentally played the siren from the Purge, which I think this was to like let people know about a curfew or something.
Maybe it was the tornadoes. No, it says that.
Yeah, it was just a little while back, and they accidentally played the siren from the movie The Purge, and so people were like,
I was about to say people are probably freaking out big time.
If someone heard that and then went out and was just like, I'm going to murder someone because it's The Purge, would they get in trouble?
I would say yes. I think there's a good chance they would be in a lot of trouble. Dude, it's crazy though, right? Like, we just survived, not survived, but bad storms, tornadoes. You know, there were a lot up here in Dade County, this area. Chattanooga got affected, all throughout the Southeast.
Not only do we have
coronavirus.
Yeah, we've got the coronavirus is swirling around in tornadoes now. How do you think they found that siren, though? Is that they just downloaded a siren sound and it happened to be from...
I bet you.
Do you think they knew?
I bet you that someone had no idea and just downloaded a siren sound.
Did y'all see the cat?
Yeah.
I saw I can't remember her names right now. Bear. I was about to call her Sozo. Bear's jumping up there. Yeah.
She's in there.
I bet they... I bet someone did it on accident, or it was somebody playing a joke. But they issued an apology.
That's so funny, dude. Dude, did you guys see, speaking of tornadoes, that house that got pushed out into the middle of the road in South Georgia?
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
The pictures of that was insane.
Man, did you see the bird's eye that was a drone shot of it?
Yeah, dude.
I don't think I saw that.
Let me see. I can send it to you probably, but the bird's eye really showed how far it moved.
It went through three counties, dude.
Counties?
The house?
No, not the house, but the tornado itself. No, the tornado itself, when I was up watching it, it had been on the ground for 30 minutes. And it had made its way through three counties, which is insane.
Now, I don't know if you'll be able to put this on the podcast or not. This is from Facebook. You might be able to screen grab it or something because it's just a video. I mean, it's just you don't need the audio, but check this out. I'm sending it to you right now.
Yeah.
This drone shot really shows how far this
That's the one I saw too. Yeah. Luckily, no one was in the house, but can you imagine if you were sleeping and then you just woke up to your house being moved and then you open the door and you're in the street?
I don't think it's quite like that. That's a long ways.
Dude, it's real far, dude.
I mean, that would...
I think you would probably be dead, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So?
I mean,
the house
maybe
was only one floor.
It looks like they literally just broke it off of the foundation and slid it down there. I don't know. It's yeah, I guess it might crush you or something into the floor.
Yeah.
Or you just getting hit against the walls or something.
Yeah, you'd probably be slung around like a rag doll or something.
Yeah.
Tornadoes are not fun at all.
Fortunately, I've never been through one. I know you have, but
yeah,
they seem super scary. I don't ever want to be through one.
I mean, even just strong winds are not fun.
Yeah, the strong winds were I moved downstairs in the night because the winds just were so bad and sounded so terrible, and my shutter is not attached to my house, I guess, and so it just kept smacking against my wall, and I was like, I'm not going to sleep anyway, so I'm just going to go downstairs.
That's like a perfect horror movie scene. It's just the shutter.
It was literally just
the Purge music starts playing.
Yeah, it was terrible. So I didn't sleep till 4 or something like that.
I was kind of in that same boat. I think it was like 3:30. I mean, we were watching the news, and it looked like it had already passed here, on the radar. So I was like, let's just go to bed. But I mean, like oddly, we didn't have that bad of a storm, right? Right here where we are, the wind wasn't that bad. I mean, I felt like the room just in our bedroom was this weird sound. It was just like this weird vibrating. I'd go anywhere else in the house and it wasn't happening.
That's weird.
Couldn't figure that out. I think maybe it was the wind. Somehow it was like hitting against the walls on the outside of the house or something.
Huh. That's strange. Yeah, here I was like in bed. I was watching the follow-up to the Tiger King, and suddenly my phone popped up, and this was like maybe 11:30 at night, and it was the warning saying tornado warning, get to a safe space. So I like had to wake my parents up and be like, hey, we need to get downstairs into the basement. And they're like, what? And we went down there, kind of waited it out for a little bit. But
I just remember though, I did before, like we were like going to set an alarm to wake up around like 2:30 to check it. And we went to bed late anyways, kind of waiting on it. But I guess I'd fallen asleep for a little while and it thundered really loud. So I just jumped up screaming. Carrie was so mad because I was just like, we gotta go, let's go. And I'm like putting my shoes on. So I'm like literally asleep still, but I'm yelling and screaming. And she was like, what is it?
She's like, what the hell?
What is it? And it's like pitch black in there too. So I hear this boo, 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 and I was just yelling. It was hilarious.
When you said put your shoes on, that's always like a tornado thing. But I remember in the movie Us, when the intruders show up to the house. Do you remember this scene, Luke? And it's like the first introduction of the other family, the doppelgangers. Yeah. And the dad kind of turns to the kids and he's like, put your shoes on. And that's when like stuff's about to go down. It's like that emergency moment. Yeah. And I love that touch. It's just like so relatable.
Yes. And I was doing it out of reflex. Just I was still I was literally yelling them like half asleep. And she was, what is it? What, you're fine. What? But there was no like nothing wrong. It was just I guess the thunder woke me up.
It's so funny, dude.
You want to check out your video, Brad, that you sent us?
Sure, yeah. So what was it? A week ago, maybe? I don't think it was before the last podcast, but I somehow stumbled upon this, and it's like, I think, did we joke about it on the podcast where Tom Cruise wanted to act like a normal human being and go to the ravioli store?
I don't know if we actually told the story on here. I think but I heard this on another podcast, and I don't know if it's even true, but they said that Tom Cruise in an interview was like, they were asking him about fame and everything. And he was like, I want to be able to do normal things. I want to wake up in the morning and go to the ravioli store like everyone else. And it just sounded like he was so far out of touch because he thought there was a ravioli store in existence.
So speaking about touch and going grocery shopping, I found this video of Michael Jackson. I think it was back in like 2003. And he, like in an interview, said, hey, I want to go, be like a normal human being, go grocery shopping, buy lettuce, tomatoes, whatever I need for the night's meal, whatever. And so one of his friends like heard that, and he owned a grocery store, something like that. So they shut it down for the day and just hire all of like Michael Jackson's staff of his like mansion and Neverland and like friends to come like work the day. They pay him to work as grocery store workers. And he's just in there by himself, shopping, riding around on a shopping cart, looking at the magazine stands. Just, it's so bizarre. That's because hilarious. It just shows how like far removed, and
gloves are he wearing?
Like, are you watching it right now?
Yeah, let's pull it up.
Yeah, let's play it together and we'll check it out.
Yeah, I was skipping around.
Let's check it out. You want to play? Let's try to hit play at the same time, and then maybe we can talk it through as we watch it.
Okay. 3.
1.
Oh,
go ahead. You count it. 1, 2, 3, go. Michael goes shopping.
I said on one of my interviews, It's my dream to go in a supermarket.
Man, his nose is so
just
crazy
shop
looking,
and
dude.
Be like
I
everybody
know.
else and put things in a
It's
basket.
just like
I
this.
can't do
This
it.
time, you're
Because
like,
if I-
it's
when
so
I try to do
wild
it,
to think
people
that
crowd around you, they want
he's black.
autographs and
You
they
know.
want you to sign
I know.
and take pictures. That's why I love disguises so much. I could sit on a bench at Disneyland
And then they.
and see.
Oh, he
Give
used to
him a
disguise
nose.
himself.
Whoa.
Do and talk about.
I don't know if that was.
But when it
Yeah.
sees Michael
Who knows?
Jackson,
He
it
said
changed
he
how
would
I
sit on a
see
bench at
the real
Disneyland.
thing, you know, it's so I
Isn't
wanna
that
see the
kinda
real world,
weird,
what it's
too?
really like. And
That
it's
is a
very
little
different.
weird to sort of just sit
So
there and
a good
watch
friend of
people.
mine
Yeah. So this is your.
owned
Oh, here it
a
is.
mall. He had them close the whole shopping mall, and
He's just
yeah,
walking around.
people in there that I knew.
I guess if you're just
pretending as if they were
that
shopping,
famous,
so it felt like,
and
it was
like
a
you
real
want to
environment.
just feel normal, you're tired
Yeah.
of all the fame and constant people asking for your autograph, and you're just
And
like,
think about it. He's been famous like
My
his, or
cousins
he was
dressed like
famous
they
for
were
his
bad
whole life.
boys
You know.
yeah. So he doesn't know
He
what it's
said-
like to just be normal.
It was great.
So he said his cousins dressed like the employees.
Yeah.
They planned everything right
Wait.
down to the music.
Yeah. Do you hear the music?
They planned everything right down.
The dance though,
He looks like a skeleton, man.
he
Yeah.
really does.
And of course, it's not like, you know, it doesn't even feel like a real experience because you got a film crew there, you got like a guy shooting photos, you know.
He's at a Publix.
Dude, he was
Yeah.
prepared. He was prepared for the coronavirus way before anybody.
I know,
He had
that's
his
what
gloves
I
on.
was thinking.
Give me a chance. to
He always
see
had the mask
in
on when he'd
my
go out in
way
public.
Yeah.
kinda what the real
Now he's
world is
riding.
like.
He,
Yeah.
he would have been
Wasn't the real
perfectly
thing.
fine right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy's like taking photos. It's like,
I guess they're having to document him at the grocery store.
Look at him. He's like, oh, look at this piece of fruit. I think this
Eventually,
one's good.
I
This one's
started
ripe.
recognizing people like the woman in the blonde wig is my nanny. Even Elizabeth Taylor was there. She was on the cover of this magazine.
What? That is a weird thing to
What?
say. Even Elizabeth Taylor was there on the cover of a
Oh
magazine.
my god, dude, he looks like a robot.
dude, it's so bizarre, right?
Dude, I mean, he had so
Everybody
many nose
mentions
jobs,
to my
man. It's
card.
just crazy looking.
He like 100% looks like a robot though. Like he's wearing a mask, but
Yeah,
it's
and they're
real.
like taking his buggy. They're like, "Oh, I took your buggy." It's like, what? And all he's buying is like hats. That's like the most like
So,
2003
how-
thing too. He was buying a trucker hat.
And how could he lose his buggy? This whole thing is like set up for him, and he got confused about his own
I
buggy.
think they were just messing with him. Maybe, I don't know. That's what I assumed.
Well, hey,
See, now that's not part of the shopping experience. You don't get to do that if you go shopping.
I know.
You don't get to what?
You don't get to do any of this stuff. So he's not
Yeah.
going to shop like a normal person.
Exactly. It just seems like a weird, like stilted, like
Which is like
whatchamacallit?
You gotta think
publicity thing, right?
Don't get to do.
So you got to
That
imagine
was-
he's been famous since he was a child. So he literally has never had a normal experience.
No,
Yeah.
never.
I mean, everything down to like just his relationship with his family. I mean, they were all, like the Jackson 5. He had,
Yeah.
so I'm sure there was these tumultuous relationships. His dad was their manager or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing in his life was ever like, I learned how to ride a bike today, and or whatever, like a normal experience. No offense, Ellis. I know
Thanks.
you didn't have that experience either.
Thank
Dude,
you.
I forgot all about that.
But
It's a PSA to everyone. I don't know how to ride a bike because I never. had to do it.
Dude, what are you doing with your quarantine time? Learn to ride a bike.
Dude,
There you
I'm
go.
learning. I'm getting so good at darts, y'all. Like
darts?
like
Where's your dart?
insanely good.
Where's
It was
your
in
dart
the basement,
board?
right?
It's in
Oh,
the
is it in the
basement. As soon as I'm rendering something, dude, I just get up and I just start playing darts, and I'm getting real good. I'm like, I'm
Like
gonna
how
hit this
good?
18, and then I hit the 18. I'm like,
Dude.
all right, I'm gonna go for the double. Hit the double.
When you made
Yeah, you
that Facebook post, I imagined it's like I'm getting really good at darts, and then it's a shot of the dartboard, and
Or
it's
is it
like
the window?
holes all around it.
Goes through window.
Yeah, I'm so good at darts. You throw it backwards.
Watch me do a
Um,
blindfolded hits dog.
Speaking of that, I've been watching Atlanta.
Yeah.
The TV show, Brad. And you remember the part where he takes the dog poster into the shooting range for the gun, and he like shoots this poster of a dog.
Is that Darius?
Yeah, it's the other guy. I don't know the character's name, but they kick him out because he like has a poster of a dog with like bullseye points.
It's the guy from Sorry to Bother You, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Darius. Yeah, I think I vaguely remember that one.
Yeah, he takes in and he shoots this dog poster, and they're like, "You can't shoot a dog," and he's like, "Well, the dogs in my neighborhood are crazy, man. They be snatching up kids and blah blah." And then he goes, the guy he's like, well, what about you? You've got like all these like racist posters up, or he's got like he's like, you're shooting at people. So that's a pretty funny episode.
Dude, speaking of dog bites, last week me and my mom were walking around our neighborhood and a dog bit her on the other street.
What?
Yeah.
No way.
Right?
Yeah, she's fine. It was, she's got a bruise on like the back of her leg, but like this little tiny dog like ran up. Like it ran out of the house and bit her.
Dude, I'm always worried about that when we go on walks, carrying like I got that little air horn thing, they can wah wah.
You need to keep that bear spray on you, dude. Just like keep it holstered,
I'll carry it sometimes if we're going out on a hike or whatever, for sure. Dude, but I've also been watching that show Dave. That's pretty. Yeah. It's pretty funny. I got into a bunch of rapper hip hop shows, I guess, over the weekend, watching Atlanta and Dave.
Have you seen, how far into Atlanta are you? Did you see
I'm still not that far. I'm still on the first season.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Dude,
now the invisible car.
Yeah,
I was like, there's a lot of stuff where they really just do whatever they want in that show, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's the whole thing I always loved about it was it just would go like really surreal and just kind of out there, like for no reason.
That like meta episode that was like an interview show mixed
the talk
in
show one,
commercials. They made all these fake commercials. Hilarious. And then how about like Justin Bieber is like a name of this character?
Yeah,
that was pretty wild because I was like, oh, they're saying Justin Bieber, but obviously it's not even
Justin
anything
Bieber.
like. Yeah, it's like some sort of like joke version of Justin Bieber.
The television episode one, you can really tell the I feel like Donald Glover working with Dan Harmon, because it seems like such a community concept of kind of like that episode. And then with Dan Harmon then doing Rick and Morty and Interdimensional Cable, it's kind of like a continuation. I feel like that's such a stamp of his work. So it was really interesting seeing kind of Donald Glover take that layout and then approach it. But yeah, I love that guy. The black guy acting like he's white, right? And
which one was that?
I think it's in that episode, and he's like going up to people and he's like, would you like to talk about Game of Thrones or something like that?
Yeah, exactly. He said he's a 35-year-old white guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like transracial or something. Yeah. That was hilarious.
Yeah, I think I've seen one episode of that show, like ever.
Ellis, you gotta get a Hulu account, man.
I know, dude. I saw one episode though. It was the one where he went out. Donald Glover went out on that date with that girl, and it was like to a really fancy restaurant. And then she was like, "Yeah, I'll order the lobster, the salmon. I'll get like this 32-ounce steak." And he's like, "I'll take the water."
Yeah,
yeah.
It's like the only episode I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's a good.
I don't know. Cat jump.
Bear just dove off onto the bed.
Yeah, I wonder when that show's coming back out. Of course, I mean, with the quarantine, we don't know anything about when any show's coming back, but I feel like
I know
it was kind of put on hold for a little while.
Did you guys see the new episode of Hot Ones?
No, who is it with?
Justin Timberlake.
Okay, no, I haven't seen it yet.
I saw that it came out, but I haven't seen it.
Same.
It was all right. It was pretty good. There was one part though that I really liked because I felt like it resonated with me. He was talking about how when his first album came out, he, I guess, was at a party or something, but Marilyn Manson came up to him and he like tapped him on the shoulder and he turns around and he's like looking up at him, and Manson was like, he told him, he was like, your debut album is the most genius thing to come out in the last 5 years or something like that. Marilyn Manson talked, and he was like, and Timberlake was like, oh, wow, thanks, man. I think your stuff is genius too, And then he was like, don't tell anyone I said that. And he like walks off. But I thought,
okay, here's the question.
That's,
do you think Justin Timberlake's been telling people that like in social situations since that's happened?
I would say that all the time. I'd be like,
I'm sure he has.
Marilyn Manson came up to me and told me that I was like, my debut album was the most genius thing.
Yeah, he's got the stamp of approval. No, but what I thought was interesting about it was how, you know how there's a difference in like movie fans and filmmakers. You know what I mean? There's a different. We talked about this before, but Marilyn Manson clearly makes a very different type of music from Justin Timberlake, and now their fan bases would be so different. I mean, if you couldn't even imagine that Manson fan base listening to Justin Timberlake for the most part, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, that's such a perfect example of how, like, if you're an artist, if you're like creating in that sphere, even if you're like totally different genres, he still recognizes the brilliant songwriting or whatever, he still, totally. It doesn't matter that he's a totally different genre or that, but it's like, if you're a fan, if you're like a hardcore fan, you'd be probably like, oh no, dude, I'm never listening to Justin Timberlake or whatever. He's especially at that time, he'd just left a boy band, Yeah. But I was like, that's a perfect example of the difference in like creating and a consumer, someone who's going to just consume the art versus someone who is in there creating and they understand what it takes to make that type of album or whatever movie, whatever it is.
You think Manson was a fan of NSYNC?
I don't know. Maybe.
This leads to way more questions for me. It's like, what does Marilyn Manson?
He has a whole room dedicated to NSYNC. He's just got their posters.
He's
everywhere.
Got a poster of Justin Timberlake.
It's a shrine to Justin Timberlake.
I think a ramen just taped up where he had the really curly hair. That's my way of thinking too. It's like, because I know a lot of times I feel like as a filmmaker, and it's probably this way as a musician, you could probably speak to that, Luke, is like the stuff you're into and the inspirations or like the stuff you make sometimes is so different than what you're like a fan of and what you like watch. I feel like, not all, there's certain stuff when people see our work, it's like, oh, you can tell, there's Spielberg influence or, the Coen brothers, stuff that we like, but Star Wars, Stranger Things, stuff like that. But, it's not like, sometimes what we're fans of, it doesn't necessarily show up, in our work. So. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. But that was probably the most interesting part of that episode. It was actually it wasn't super entertaining. I mean, but he
did
made
they film it before quarantine?
I guess so. I mean, it seemed like it. They didn't even mention any of that, so it seemed like they probably did. But he made it through the whole thing without drinking any water, which was pretty.
Whoa, that's pretty.
That's
impressive.
Insane.
Yeah, it's pretty
good
tough.
On JT, man. Old Justin Time doing it.
Yeah.
Have you guys watched any Quibi yet?
No, I haven't. I know I was man. Hey, let's do a review on Quibi on the podcast, and then I haven't gotten around to it. So tell us all about it, Ellis.
Okay, I really like it because like whenever you have like 7 minutes or whatever, like let's say you're going to the bathroom, you can just like watch a whole episode of something, and they're all
so for you
really
you watch,
well done.
10 episodes.
Yeah. No, I don't take
Are you
that
saying
long.
Okay. It takes that
anyways, the episodes are like really well done, and some of them have a lot of like relatively well-known stars. Yeah. Like the one I'm watching has the girl from It's Always Sunny in it, and they're
relatively well-known stars. I can't name her name.
I don't remember her name, but I know who she is, and the episodes are. I don't. It's like going to a film festival on my phone. It's really cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's pretty cool.
And it's really nice, just like having a short film that's really. It feels produced, and it feels really well done. Like the editing's solid. The storylines they're all right. But the acting's like really, really good.
Does it release like the whole season like Netflix?
Yeah, it's from what I can tell. Like I have all the episodes to the one I'm watching right now. Here, I'll pull it up real fast.
So have you only been watching that one show?
Yeah, I started another one, but I haven't finished it. I started The Most Dangerous Game.
Is that the Christoph Waltz one?
Yeah. It's like he's trying to get out of debt or whatever, and he's like hunting this guy, but then like he's actually being hunted. Yeah, it's really cool. I recommend it.
I mean, I think it's cool, obviously, from our perspective, because what we do is make short form entertainment. So it's like it's cool to see a platform like that that's putting out high quality work from major studios or whatever, major filmmakers, major motion picture quality.
But here's my question: is it like when the episode ends? Can you tell that it was like written in that way? Like, were these things produced in the concept that, okay, we're going beyond this platform, it's only going to have episodes 10 minutes long? Like it doesn't feel like it suddenly cuts to an awkward like end, or like it's not like it started out as a movie or a 45-minute TV episode and then they're like cutting it up.
The first episode of Flipped felt like it was a full movie. Like the beginning felt like it was the setup to a full movie, and then like the end of the episode was kind of like weird, I guess, because like the first episode is basically these two people that are like the scum of society, I guess. They like have no empathy or whatever, and they both lose their jobs, and they're sitting at home or whatever, and they see this thing on TV, like HD TV, that's like, do you want to be the next home remodeler? Send in your thing here. And it's like super weird because it's like a shot of them grasping hands and then like push-ins on their eyes as they've got like these really weird expressions of like awe and like, this is our next big move, and then it just ends. So like the ending feels super weird, but overall it kind of like flows into the next episode.
Gotcha. Because that's the one thing I read too in an article, that if you made something for Quibi, you have like a 2-year period where it's kind of only on that platform. But then afterwards, I think you can take it and re-edit it however you want, and then put it on Netflix or video on demand. So I was wondering if anything felt like it was a movie that someone made and they're like, oh, we can throw it on this, and cut it up, or if it was longer TV show episodes. Because that was my thing. If it was like a lot of people took stuff they had and they're like, well, Netflix didn't option it, so we'll use it for something else, or if everything was like, okay, this is going to be made for Quibi from the start.
Since
it might be like
you go ahead.
It might be like a transitional period too, where they were taking content like that because they had ideas already prepared, and then now that it's an actual platform, I'm sure there's probably people like trying to get these new short form ideas out there.
Do you think it's viable, like long term, with other streaming services? Like when your free trial ends, would you continue paying for it?
I mean, I've enjoyed it a lot so far. I'm going to watch a few more and see what I think. And then by the time I reach my free trial, I'll make that decision. But so far, I really like it. The Most Dangerous Game, too, I feel like that one's going to be more of like a movie that's just been cut up into episodes. Like the comedy one, I feel like can be more episodical, and it was made for Quibi. But like these action-packed ones, I feel like would be re-edited as a movie.
From what I've seen advertising-wise, I feel like the reality TV shows were probably what for sure was made for the platform. Totally. What they're bringing back Punk'd with Chance the Rapper instead of Ashton Kutcher.
I keep seeing ads for that. I mean, I'm really curious to see the Spielberg one. I wonder how it's going to do, though, being that nowadays people want to be able to watch something when they want to watch it, and it's only going to be available after dark. I read after midnight on one thing. So, I mean, that's like super late. You can only watch it in the middle of the night.
A lot of people wouldn't want to watch it.
I know.
That actually kind of makes me want to watch it, though.
I know.
It's a cool idea. I don't know if I absolutely love the gimmick, but I like it in idea maybe. But I would have to.
I like the idea because it's like saying like these were made to be watched in the dark because they're scary and spooky. But I just don't know if it actually translates to people doing that because people want to watch it when they want to watch it now.
Yeah.
But honestly, like he's probably made so much money in his life that he's reached a point where he just wants people to experience his work and his art the way he wants them to experience it.
Is Spielberg like directing any of this, or is it just a Spielberg production?
I think so. I think he's writing it too. This is like the first thing he's written in years.
Gotcha. So, okay, that's
from
cool.
what I read.
Yeah, I'm really.
That's more interesting to me. I thought it was just kind of his name thrown up on it.
No, it's supposed I think it's supposedly like he's writing stuff, and he came up with this whole idea of like it can only be available after sunset. I wonder if people will like. I guess you could probably somehow change the settings on your phone to where it thinks you're a different time zone or something, and then
like a VPN or something.
You probably can. Yeah. I'm really excited though about Quibi just because I hate dedicating an hour or 2 hours of my time to watching something. It's a lot of the reason why I don't watch stuff is it feels like it's too much of a commitment, even though other stuff is that long. But I like Quibi because I can just nail out 2 of them and then be like, all right, cool, and just keep going like throughout my day.
Yeah,
that's cool. That seems like it would fit in kind of the way I watch stuff too. I think I'd prefer shorter stuff most of the time, where I'll like watch a 45-hour long episode, maybe in 2 parts or something. If I'm watching it before going to bed.
Say 45-hour long
45 to an hour. My bad.
That's a real commitment.
Like,
look, man, you gotta really enjoy those art films. You know, stuff that really pushes the mind.
We've been rewatching True Blood. Carrie and I have, and but there was a shot that I was going to tell you about that I thought was cool. It's like it was during like her like her grandma like dies. Spoiler, sorry if you haven't seen this old show, but her grandma gets killed, and there's sort of like a wake, I guess, at the house. So there's this shot where the camera is shooting over like a casserole. You know what I mean? It's moving through. So like it's moving through. You're shooting almost POV from the casserole. It's in the bottom of the frame, and you're seeing like it's moving around the room, and it like stops. Someone's like, "Oh, hey, blah blah blah," and moves around the next one.
That's a cool shot.
Oh, so it's kind of like the camera's attached to the casserole dish,
like so it's always like as it swivels, and it's like always at the bottom of the frame.
Exactly.
Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah, that was a cool idea, and I thought that's kind of like some stuff that we've done where we've shot POV from the point of view of an inanimate object. Sort of like where we had on the fart formula, he answers the phone and we were literally, we were shooting from the POV of the phone, and he pulls away from the camera and it looks like we're the phone looking up at him.
I've never held on a shot like that. The way you're describing it sounds like it kind of like sticks with like the casserole for a while and just kind of like stays with it or whatever. It doesn't cut away from it.
And I think that's such a, if you think of it thematically, like artistically, that's a really genius idea, because what do you think of when you think of a funeral and death and mourning and a wake? All that stuff is people bring food to console their loved ones. And so doing a shot that's like looking over it from the point of view of that, I think really sells that idea, you know?
Yeah, kind of like, I feel like whenever you shoot from an inanimate object, you're almost shooting from like the audience's actual perspective, like they're like a bug on the wall in like the scene or whatever. You're not like with the main protagonist or any of the other characters.
Yeah, it's always just an outsider perspective feeling.
Yeah.
What about I know I sent this to y'all a little while ago, but I guess 2 weekends ago, I watched this documentary by Peter Jackson called They Shall Not Grow Old, and it's him. He worked with, let's see, I got in my notes, the Imperial War Museum and they took old footage of British and I think Australian soldiers from World War One and pretty much recreated it, recolored it, reformatted it, had like Foley and cleaned up all the age marks, but like it was really impressive.
That video gave me anxiety just watching for the people that had to work on it, dude.
Yeah, man. Dude,
that was impressive.
I don't even know. It's such a hard experience.
It was cool how they you could see like literally how they drew the masks around the face, and obviously had to motion track that, and then that way they were able to color just the face and get it perfect or whatever. And I mean, not only are they like, it's not just like cleaning up footage or adding a little color, they're like really trying to get true to color.
Yeah.
And they're also adding, I mean, the Foley sounds was really crazy to me, because they're adding in something a guy was saying, using someone else's voice,
from 100 years later.
100 years later. And just thinking about that guy, obviously he's not alive anymore. And it's like, he had no idea this was going to happen. There's just this random guy with a old camera filming him while he's at war. And then 100 years later, we take the technology, we give him a voice. I think it's cool though. I think it brings that, it definitely can put you into the moment where people, I liked all the things they were saying of how like history didn't happen in black and white.
Yeah.
That the wars weren't fought in black and white and without sound. It was like visceral and like raw and loud and colorful. So I think that's a whole new experience that nobody's really had.
Yeah. Documentary. I'm sorry, Ellis, go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, it was really cool how like, not only were they using the audio to bring the world to life, but like they had to go by and not like he explained in the video that the guy had to like hand crank it to get like the frame rate of the video, but it wouldn't always be consistent. So in their shots, they had to like retime every single time he would like crank slower or crank faster. And that is like so much work.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a guess, but it's insane because you're doing that for a whole movie. And it's the same with the color. You have to mask out their face. You have to mask out their clothes. You have to mask out the background, anything in the shot. And you're having to track every single one of those masks. You're having to color each one of those individually for every single shot. That's just an insane amount of work.
Because you couldn't like color select it because it's black and white. Like you'd be definitely getting, how like even now when we try to select the color, that ends up picking up. Like if you selected my face right now, you definitely get some of this couch in the background because of these orange tones, the bouncing. I mean, imagine if it's black and white, you're going to just be getting pieces of stuff everywhere.
You have to hand select everything and then track everything. That's so hard. That's so much
I think
work.
It's like, if you're not in film and if you see the documentary, and I highly recommend it, but if you see the behind the scenes of how they did this, it's like you get an understanding and appreciation for what they did to recreate all this stuff. But it's like, I think if you do work in film, you have such a better understanding, especially if you're on the editing side of things and you understand just how much painstaking detail and time, having to figure out, okay, how fast they were hand cranking it, all the time spent on color, Foley. I mean, there were parts in the movie where it's like, there's a guy messing up playing the clarinet, during it. So it's not even just like having to have someone play the clarinet and try to match how this guy's playing, follow his fingers, but it's like match how he's messing up playing.
Yeah.
And all the little like nuances to people's sound and like voices and, just the little tiny details of, okay, if they step in the water this way, it's going to sound this, exactly this way. And like, it does an amazing job of like, you get into it, you're watching it. The narration is like people, I don't know when they recorded it. It was probably maybe in the 40s or 50s if I had to guess, but it's all interviews from people who fought in the war. So you don't have like some historian come in, you don't have anyone else. It's only the accounts of people who are actually there. And it's the same way we cut up, docu-promo film or anything like that, where it's just interviews after interviews, and it just leads you along, and you're seeing gruesome, people getting shot, people who were mutilated, everything from the living condition, giant rats that were in the trenches with them. It's so crazy how much it kind of, like you said, Luke, it humanizes the whole thing. And you're like, okay, this isn't just a tiny, like, little frame of, guys marching off to war in black and white. And you're like, oh, that's old. That's history. It's like, this was people, and a lot of times they're like 16, 17, 18-year-old guys going off to war and getting killed.
And it's not just a movie; it's like a service. I feel like to everyone who fought in that war. And I'm sure that movie in future history classes will be referenced. Oh, yeah. It's just, I feel like it was a real service to humankind to make that movie. And it wasn't just cool for entertainment.
And it shows how great of a filmmaker Peter Jackson is, because you can go from making Lord of the Rings and King Kong and stuff like that to pretty much kind of doing what we do on a daily basis of making a long form documentary promotional video about this war.
I really digged his post house too. Whenever he was just like chilling on that couch and like just has that big old TV and like the guys just like playing in the clips. I love that.
We need one of those. We got the couch. We just need the giant TV. And I guess we need to return to the office. But
yeah, for real.
It's coming.
What about I saw how SNL did an episode all from home. Did y'all see anything from that or about it?
I saw they were doing it, but I didn't watch it. I saw it coming on, but I had to go to bed because I had to get up so early Sunday morning. But I definitely want to see what some parts of the skits look like. Or
I watched it. It was super interesting, and I mean they're pretty much doing the same thing we're doing here. A lot of times it's like Zoom calls, and some of the skits are like having a business Zoom call, and the funny bits of having one of the older people jump on and they're trying to get the hang of it. And then, but everything is just the people recording themselves, with their phones or having, whoever's in the house with them, staying with them during quarantine, record them. And it was so interesting. And I don't know if it was there were moments that I thought were like really funny from what I saw, but, it's more of like just a neat time capsule, I feel like, of what right now is like, and kind of what they were joking about, which is stuff that people can really relate to. They made Tiger King jokes. They had, jokes about Zoom. They had a funny one about masterclass and like, all the stuff to learn during masterclass, and it was like Carol Baskin on how to murder your husband. And,
that's good.
That's really funny.
That's great.
Just crazy stuff like that. But the funniest thing of that one was it said masterclass were the same price we always were. And I feel like I've seen so many ads on social media for masterclass. So I felt like
dude,
that really.
It's everywhere you go now.
Yeah.
It's like masterclass.
Did I tell you guys about the guy who made that video where he walks in on his own Zoom? Did we talk about that?
Yeah, we didn't talk about it on the podcast, but you sent it.
I sent it to you. Ellis, did you see that? You remember that?
Maybe.
Yeah, I sent it to you.
Oh, let's see.
Pull it up.
I just sent it in the group chat, but so you can pull it off YouTube.
Speaking, virtual backgrounds and stuff.
Yeah.
But like,
look, cool. You're in the office.
So yeah, Angela really made me upset, but I'll let it be. Yeah,
that's nice.
But I didn't see this.
I love it, man. He makes his own. He just makes a video that looks like his actual room, and it shows him walking in on himself during a meeting.
Yeah, that's pretty genius.
That's smart.
That is a good idea. That's a good way to use Zoom for sure.
I saw other people using like the background from The Office whenever like they're giving their interviews and stuff. And people have been like using that.
Throw up the Office background.
Yeah, he just did that.
I was watching the video. Sorry.
I'm just hanging out here. Parks and Rec. Or, you guys recognize this place?
Oh.
That's from, I think, a very famous music video. No.
Oh.
Something we shot.
That was a fun shoot.
Yeah. Do you miss filming?
Dude, yes. I miss just going to the office and hanging out and going. I just miss driving too. Like really bad.
Dude, speaking of driving, was it Friday? I just drove around and, you know, I'm up here with my parents. So I drove around like places and like all my friends' old houses and stuff like that. And some of them had moved, but I'm like, I just had this like weird realization of this is like the last time I've driven some of these roads in probably like 10 plus years, you know?
That happened to me the other day whenever I had to go get the projector. Got it that time.
The printer.
Yeah, I almost said printer. But when I went to go get that, dude, that was like my old like childhood roads that I was driving down. That's when I texted you guys. I was like, dude, I'm getting hit with like waves of nostalgia. It was like insane. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a weird experience. It was cool, but it was like I don't know. It was bizarre all the same because I'm like, I don't know when the next time I'm going to drive these roads will
I know it's like way too emotional for a drive. I'm like, dude, I'm getting choked up just being on this road. I need to get out of here.
You're just crying.
So I get into the thing to go get the projector at the library, and I'm just got tears down my face. The eyes are swollen. She's like, "Are you okay?" Like
you're like, "I'm here to return this printer," and she's like, "But it's a projector," and you're like, "I know."
I'm like, "Shut up." Oh man,
I always love those memes too. Now where it's like, "Remember places? Do you miss places? Going to places?"
Yeah, I've been talking to Scott and Austin, and we're gonna go get some chamagucha whenever.
Some what?
Chamagucha. It's a Brazilian steakhouse, and I've never had it before, but it's been hyped up to me as like the best meat that you'll ever get to eat. It's been like it's been way hyped by Scott and Austin, and it's super expensive, but I want to try it.
I sent a text to my like family group chat last night, and I was like, "Hey, remember when we started a monthly family bowling night, and then the next month the pandemic happened? That was cool."
Yeah, that was cool.
Literally, we do it that month, and then the next month we're like, "Okay, hopefully we'll get to go again." Oh no, we're all stuck at home for the rest of
y'all should just bowl from home, set up something
virtual.
Dude, you won't.
Hey, I have a bowling pin.
That's true.
I'm one step there.
Dude, Wii bowling. We'll just play Wii bowling.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wii bowling. Dude, speaking of like, I've been trying to get a Nintendo Switch for this, and they're all sold out, man.
Yeah, I've been trying to sell mine, dude. I think I'm going to sell it to Ethel.
Brad just said he's trying to buy one.
Ethel had first dibs, okay?
That's fine. Whatever.
But I don't play mine that much anymore. I've been trying to sell it.
Well, if Ethel doesn't want it, I'll take it.
Okay. It comes with a bunch of games too.
Okay.
Speaking of current memes and stuff, you mentioned a minute ago, I love those ones where people are like, I don't know who needs to hear this right now, and it's like not something uplifting, but just something like really stupid.
Yeah.
One of them was like, but you can definitely close all of those browser tabs or something like that.
Yeah, I've seen those too. Dude,
this is prime meme time for sure.
Yeah. Dude, when's the last time, I don't know, this might be different, but I have not worn like pants with a belt in probably a month.
I thought you were going to say, I just have not worn pants in a month.
Like,
you mean because you've been wearing like sweatpants?
Yeah,
like
sweatpants, athletic shorts, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, I really haven't had to do anything, you know, go meet anyone. I know, Luke, you've had to like perform music for your church.
Yeah. I do have to wear pants there. they insist.
They're like, hey, last week you only told us that the live stream had to be, you know, chest up, and that was really restricting. You're like, pants are really restricting.
Yeah, I go for just the boxer briefs with like a dress shirt. Happy Easter.
Oh my god, dude, my favorite part is like in January and February, it was just like monsoons and like rain and floods, and then when we get locked inside, and it's been like the most beautiful days that we've had like all year.
He says this in like tornado and storms just hit, like
okay.
Just happened.
The days
day.
like the past 2 weeks have just been all sunny and like real nice.
Like when the quarantine started, it was raining constantly, like the first week or so.
Every day.
It was a little depressing because we were like, we're stuck at home.
This is further proof that Ellis knows nothing about weather.
No, dude. Do not trust Ellis about the weather ever.
You're like, oh, it's going to definitely snow like 10 inches.
Fake news. They don't know.
That's why when you sent a text the other night about tornadoes, I was like, I need to definitely cross-reference and fact-check this before I panic.
Had the Channel 2 weather like pulled up, and it's like, you're going to have a storm coming in Saturday night. And I was like, oh, I better tell my friends that there's going to be a storm, so because I care about their safety. And they're like, oh, you guys, you sure that you know what you're talking about?
Saturday night.
Or I'll cut that out.
There you go. You mean Sunday night.
Sunday night. Yeah. Sunday.
Ellis is just going to start cutting out anything that he doesn't like about himself. Click, gone.
It's like, get out of here.
People are like, Ellis seems like a genius on your show. You guys sound
cutting out
dumb.
every
Yeah. You guys sound kind of stupid, but Ellis seems really smart.
I'll leave in the part where you guys are like, yeah,
and then cut out anything we say after it.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll cut myself in to come in after that and finish the sentence.
You'll record it after the fact. You're like, oh, actually, you meant this.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be so funny.
Oh, y'all want to hear something crazy too? I read this not too long ago that now I'm doing all those ums and stuff. Please cut this out, Ellis. But
ask me again with a please.
NBC, when Friends and Seinfeld was on, they had reached out for them to do a crossover episode, and that the Seinfeld writing team was like, "We'll do it only on one, only if this happens." And they said Ross has to die in the episode. And NBC was like, no.
Aw, that would be amazing.
Think about how crazy that would be. Like, that would give the writers of Friends, like, such a hard time. Like, did they write it off like it was a dream? Like, you know, do they acknowledge it? Like, David Swimmer is probably like, hey, what? You wanted me to die? Like,
wait, and this was like while they were both still going. It wasn't like the end of Friends or whatever.
No, I don't know exactly what year, but it was like, you know, probably the prime of both of those shows happening.
So if they couldn't kill off Ross, right? I mean, that's such a crazy request too.
Yeah, they were like, we'll do it only if. Yeah.
Wow.
I guess that's what hilarious. They wanted their talking point of the episode to be about.
Yeah, I think it was more so that they're like, we don't want to do this, so we're going to say whatever we can to make sure they're like, yeah, we don't want y'all to do that.
Crossover shows are pretty crazy. How about, what was the one? New Girl did one with Brooklyn Nine-Nine or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Did I ever see that one?
It was like just I can't even remember what happened really, but
I feel like they never really work.
Yeah,
they always seem ham-fisted.
Exactly. Say that to Jimmy Timmy Power Hour. Okay.
They had 3 of those, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
I mean,
they were so good.
Yeah, it seems a little gimmicky, I guess, for the most part.
That gimmick was kind of cool, though. I remember that as a kid, and it's like they, they were animated completely different. One's like 2D,
that's why
the other
really
one's 3D. So they switched over the main characters in both. So then Timmy Turner from Fairly Odd Parents became 3D animated, and then Jimmy Neutron with his giant 2D. Head was in 2D.
It was really cool just because they changed the animation on it. That's why I really liked it.
That is cool. That is a pretty cool way to do it.
It's like you really wanted to see all the characters from the other show be animated in that style, and that's what like really hooked you. Is they were like, man, I hope that they cross over too.
Yeah,
that's what always got me like hyped about it.
Well, Ellis, you got anything else you wanted to talk about?
Nothing much, but I was playing Call of Duty yesterday. And
they had a SNL sketch about Call of Duty.
Oh, really?
Warzone, yeah.
Dude, Warzone is awesome. I'm gonna have to go watch that now. But we ended up finding a spot in like the map of like a hangar or whatever where you're not supposed to get, and we like climbed up into the rafters. I actually recorded the video of it. I can post it if you want to see it. But we climbed into the rafters, and it was like a spot you're not supposed to be. So we were all up here like bats in like the very top of like this rafter, and this guy just like runs in, has no idea we're in there, and we all have RPGs just like pointed at him and just rained down RPGs on him. And I just want to know what his thought process was whenever he just is in here.
He would have no
alone.
idea you were up there.
No, I'll post the video, or I can share it on my screen now if you want to see it. But it was so funny because he runs in unawares, is like, "Oh, dude, look at all this like cool stuff!" And like,
can you hear him saying that?
No. But as he's like running away, we just unleash RPGs down on him, and he just gets obliterated. I just want to like, whenever you kill someone in the game, like I said, you can hear their headset for a couple seconds.
Yeah,
and he was just like, "Ah." And then it cut off.
And then it cut. Perfectly cut scream.
I thought you were going to say whenever you kill someone in the game, they die in real life.
No,
that's
dude.
The Hunger Games.
Plot twist.
But that was it, just because it was so funny.
This is like kind of related to it. Are the maps in Warzone like from previous Call of Duties?
Some of them are.
Okay.
There's one that's Scrapyard from Modern Warfare 2. It's in there now.
Gotcha.
Boneyard.
Because in the SNL sketch, I was like, that looks familiar. I feel like I've seen that before.
Yeah. Here, let's see. Should I go ahead and share my screen and show you this?
Yeah, you should go ahead and show it to us.
Okay.
Oh, the one thing about the SNL episode though too was Tom Hanks hosted it, right? So he's recording from his house. He's recovered, but him doing the monologue was so awkward because there's like no audience there to interact with him, and he's just reading cue cards, and it was kind of weird. But he did none of the sketches. He's probably like the only person to ever host SNL and not have to do like any sketches during the whole show.
That's kind of like what David Spade's doing with his show. He does these monologues still, but he's talking to just the camera.
I heard that
there's no one there.
Comedy Central like got rid of that or canceled David Spade's show.
Oh, really? I wondered about that because he said something about the show dying, but like he's still doing it online. But
okay.
Maybe that's cool. Maybe that's what happened. They're not doing it anymore, and he's just putting it out still. I don't know. Which is weird because you'd think they would own the rights to the show.
Maybe David Spade kind of got him like that producer got Joe Exotic.
Yeah.
He's like, I own everything.
All right, show us this thing, Ellis.
All right, do you see it?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So we're in here, and this guy just runs in.
Oh, right? You're kind of on the beaches.
Yeah, dude. We're just watching him, and like we're all talking to ourselves. You can't hear our voice chat, but as he's running away, we just unleash on him. I just want to know what that guy thought, dude, because like he had no idea we were there.
So can he then once you kill him, he can see where you were at?
Yeah, dude.
Because it shows the kill cam, right?
Yeah, he gets a kill feed or whatever.
Oh.
Of me, because I'm the one who killed him, so he gets to see how I killed him.
Yeah,
and I just want to know what he thought.
I bet he was.
What are you doing, Ellis?
I'm trying
shocked.
to get back to. Oh, there we go. Okay,
there you go.
I was like, where is it? Where's the button?
All right. Well, I guess we could wrap it up, you guys.
Wrap it up.
We'll wrap it up.
All right. Thanks so much for listening, guys. As always, we appreciate it. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It's all just at Sozo Bear Films.
Catch you next week.
All right. See ya.
Peace.
Bye.